He's got an excellent resume, a winning attitude, and I say let's give him a shot. What do you say?
Hang on a sec. I think I might want to have a little time just to think it over.
Do you want the job or not, Snack Shack?
You should taste Mom's peanuts, too.
There'd be fewer lives ruined.
You're listening to Comedy Parenting Radio.
And now this is obviously a lie because he had been doing this a bunch of times.
Now you're listening to Comedy Parenting Radio.
Hi, this is Jerry Bagley. I'm your host for Comedy Parenting Radio. In the studio, we have Gabe with us, and he came from, how far away did you come from?
Oh, about, probably 1,000 miles.
Yeah, I'm sorry you had to ride the bus, but that's all we could afford. Anyway, we'll get you back here in just a second, folks.
I recall the time they found those fossilized mosquitoes, and before long they were cloning DNA.
Comedy Parenting Radio. World-class comedy at a fraction of the cost.
Treesock Press sells the books that stay on your shelves. When you want books that your guests pick up and read and can't put down, make sure it's one of Treesock Press's comedy books. Get a copy of her new book, Dad, the Tooth Fairy Didn't Come, and your kids will want you to read it over and over and over until you pull what little hair you have left out. When you pitch old books out into the gutter, you'll feel complete guilt if it's a Treesock Press book. Get your Treesock Press book wherever lousy comedy books are sold. Treesock. It stays on your shelf.
Now I'm being chased by some irate velociraptors. Well, believe me, this has been one lousy day.
We're back with Comedy Parenting Radio. We've got Gabe here in the studio. You're in college, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
And is this like a chintzy little school or what?
It's a small school out in the boonies, University of Wisconsin-Madison.
Do you have flush toilets? University of Wisconsin.
We just got those.
I think they just got flush toilets recently. So.
Yeah,
cool. Right. So you told me that you've had some professors do some weird things or...
Oh, yeah. So it's, at these big public schools, it's kind of a grab bag, you do have some great professors, but you also got some terrible ones that, just go by on their research and really have no business teaching. So
what do you think they should be doing instead of teaching based on your experience?
Probably,
fast food.
Fast food. That'd probably be a good.
Okay, some grab bag teachers,
There'd be fewer lives ruined.
Did you hear that? Okay, so tell me about some of your teachers here, your professors.
All right, so yeah, this professor kept not coming to class. Like usually the kids don't come to class, but this time I was pretty shocked to find that like 3 or 4 times in a row this professor didn't show up to class, and the final time and we like the class.
The teacher just did he call in sick or? So
yeah, that's the funny part. So he after the third or fourth time of doing this, I was sitting in the lounge of my dorm, and he sent us a message, and he said, "I'm sorry I couldn't show up the last couple times. I had explosive diarrhea, and I was unable to leave my house." And now this is obviously a lie because he had been doing this a bunch of times, but he just came up with ridiculous excuses.
Some particular malady or something like that. Had he been traveling to a third world country
I don't know.
For your class, or what's going on with that? We'll be back in just a moment.
This is Ensign Chekhov. You are listening to Comedy Parenting Radio.
Unexpected reactions to smart financial decisions brought to you by feedthepig.org.
Well, I finally did it. I opened a 401k.
So you're giving up? Just like that?
Giving up on what?
On getting an inheritance from a distant relative.
Don't you think if there were a billionaire in the family, we'd know about it by now?
Listen to me. We are one phone call away from riding horses on our own private polo grounds. One call from christening yachts, having a butler, using summer as a verb.
How do you figure?
Look, everyone's got a rich uncle somewhere. It's statistics. So the best thing you can do is just prepare for the inevitable.
Right, which is why I thought maybe it would be smart to take control of my finances. You know, start using a budget, get out of debt, set some retirement goals.
Budgets? Debt? You watch your mouth. Retirement shouldn't be a goal for us. It should be a way of life.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Okay, welcome back to Comedy Parenting. We're on a roll here with Gabe, and he was just telling us about a professor who didn't show up for several days in a row because he had what?
Explosive diarrhea.
And what was the funniest part about all that? He did what?
They have email lists in these classes, all 120 students. He emailed all 120 students and probably his TA and stuff that he just had explosive. Like, he could have been like, I was sick. Like, a brick fell on me. He could have said anything, but he specifically wanted us to know.
Wow, that's a good excuse. So, those of you kids listening, if you ever don't show up in school, just have your parents write a note that you had explosive diarrhea.
Yeah.
Oh my, that's crazy stuff. Any other teacher stories for us?
I've had some.
In your big grab bag of teachers.
Grab bag of teachers.
Wow, I like that.
Yeah. He was definitely the worst, but I've had a few that, have maintained the same wardrobe every single day for the entire semester, and
excuse me, have you ever seen any Ernest movies?
No, I have not.
Ernest P. Worrell. He goes into his wardrobe. He always wears blue jeans and a shirt and a vest and a particular baseball hat. He goes into his wardrobe. Everything hanging in there is blue jeans, T-shirt.
Yep.
Same. It looks exactly the same thing. But anyway, so your teacher was wearing the same.
Yeah, he wore Crocs, some yellow Crocs, and it looked like a bathrobe. It probably had like a more fancy name, but I didn't know. It looked like a bathrobe.
Jacket, maybe?
Yeah, a smoking jacket.
Maybe you wore a smoking jacket.
But Crocs and a smoking jacket every day.
How old was this guy?
He was like 45.
Was he from England or anything?
No. He was a good professor though. He was kind of a weird guy, but he was a good teacher.
We don't say weird on this show. We say eccentric.
Eccentric.
Yeah,
okay.
Eccentric. Eccentric professors wearing the same stuff. We'll assume that he had the same clothes underneath every day too. I don't know. We won't ask on that one. Wow. So you go to school. It's kind of a grab bag of teachers. Mm-hmm. Is it ever a grab bag of anything else, like friends or things just show up kind of bizarrely?
Yeah.
And we're talking what, the University of Wisconsin?
Wisconsin, yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So,
a lot of cheeseheads, but anyway.
Yeah. there's actually, I know you're joking, but that's true. But there's a lot of different types of students,
I am not joking. I've been to college. And I got to tell you one thing. On the way to college one time, and we did have to take the bus just like you did to get here. On the way to college, traveling across the United States, there was this one guy. We don't know what was up with him, but he just kind of hung from the overhead compartments and swung like Tarzan the whole way across Nebraska. So you see some weird people as you're on your way to college. Go ahead, people at school.
Yeah, so we got a bunch of different types. We got the foreign students who always hang out in their little clique and share test answers and stuff sometimes. Just casual friend stuff,
The foreign students, huh? Where do they come from?
Most of them are from China, got a few from Korea and stuff like that. And every once in a while you'll run into someone from like India or Pakistan.
Are you learning any new languages?
Yeah. Well, I took 2 semesters of Spanish.
Of Espanol.
Espanol, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm no good at that.
That's okay. I'm not either. I teach skiing up in the Aspen area, and I know about 5 words in almost every language. Anyway.
Is it go, stop, and watch out?
Yeah, and baño. Anyway, cool. So some strange people. Back to the teachers. Do you have any other stories about any weird teachers? Are they ever unfair to the class, like for the whole class?
Yeah, so it's hard for some of these teachers in these like basic classes because they have a choice of like either, failing 50% of the class because they gave a test that required you to know stuff and then no one really like studied in my experience. But other than that, or there's been a couple times, couple incidents where teachers have been very ordinary about, like they'll actually fail 50% of the class on like tests, and then
just to keep their pride, right?
Well, I get it. Like, if you give a test and you expect people to know this, and like sometimes the worst is when the professors don't teach the stuff well, and then they think they're like, oh, I'm just being hard, like I gotta make sure the kids know their stuff, but actually they're just awful professors. And so
the teacher is the slacker in that case. But,
exactly.
But they delude themselves into thinking they're like,
that's the worst. like it's the worst type of professor is the type that think they're like, super tough but good, but they're actually not. But also, I think the best professors are the ones that are actually that. Like, they're actually good and they're tough, so you actually learn a lot. But it's hard to tell the difference,
Probably at a party, maybe you can kind of sort that out.
Yeah, exactly.
At the social parties. Okay, Comedy Parenting Radio. We'll be back in just a moment.
This moment of uncontrollable laughter was made possible by a 32-year-old man with little to no coordination attempting to execute a simple cartwheel. His name is Sergeant Warner, but young James, our laughing friend here, simply calls him Dad. The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
He changed direction and staying in some more round and round, and round, round and round, and round.
Well, we're back. Comedy Parenting Radio. Jerry, your host. Here we got Gabe in the hot seat right now. He's a cheesehead, and he's even wearing a yellow shirt. Thanks for wearing a yellow shirt to the interview, Gabe. And he goes to the University of, well, we won't say the name of that college just in case. Some odd professors there. Yeah, and kids. How's the food there?
Oh, it's all right. It's actual good food. The problem is there's a 2-week rotation that never ever changes, right? So like
cheese one week, cottage cheese the next week.
But like the food, like if you were to just like go there and eat it for 2 weeks, you'd be like, this is all right, not too bad.
So we're talking like the visitors are like, oh, the food's fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. So, but then when you're eating it every day, it's like, this is the 20th time I've eaten this thing this semester.
What do you dislike the most?
What do I dislike the most? I'm kind of adventurous and every time they have a different dish, right? I like to try that dish because, it's breaking it up. But one time they had this West African peanut stew. And I was like, oh, that's really different, right? Might as well try that. Terrible idea. Right? Like this thing, I'm sure West African peanut stew is actually good, but
it's much better back home.
Yeah, exactly.
You should taste Mom's peanut stew.
But this stuff was so bad. I had the worst trip. I could I could have used my professor's excuse,
The
is all I'm saying.
explosive,
But
all right, food at college. Okay, you've been listening to Comedy Parenting Radio. We had Gabe here. Thanks for coming out today, Gabe.
Yeah,
and
great to be
best
here.
wishes in the future. And by the way, stay away from the peanuts too.
All right.
Marty, you're gonna have to do something about those clothes. You walk around town dressed like that, you're liable to get shot. Or hanged. What idiot dressed you in that outfit?
You did.